Good morning, traders. I'm Emily Advani, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Thursday, August 14th. We are coming off another record-setting day on Wall Street yesterday as investors await more inflation data due out today. Yesterday, the S&P 500 and NASDAQ posted record wins. The S&P 500 advanced 20 points or 0.32%. The NASDAQ gained 31 points or 0.14%. The Dow climbed 463 points or 1.04%. Bill, let's get into today's action with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Hi, yes, good morning, Emily. I'm watching the S&Ps. The fact of the matter is we are seeing a little bit of weakness this morning, because, last few days we've had some, good movement, but they're flat right now. We're at 0.00 on the percent change on the day, but they were lower. So, I wouldn't be surprised if we see some profit taking today. That could very well occur. But, the focus today will be on some economic data that's coming out because there's two big data points set for release before the market opens. You got the PPI report, and you also have the weekly jobless claims. Those are going to be key. Those are going to be key to the market movement today. Earlier, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, he was out there and he indicated that there was a really good chance that the Fed will lower interest rates by 50 basis points when they meet in September, like over a month away. Listen, for a 50 basis point cut to happen, it would really require another disastrous non-farms payroll number. So we'll have to wait and see what happens when that number comes out the first week of September. Overnight, President Trump, he signed an executive order with the idea to encourage space travel. It's like accelerating the ability to get licenses for rocket launches. And Trump is scheduled to speak today at 1 p.m. We'll have to see what that's about. In earnings news, JD, VIPs, they're higher after earnings releases. Cisco, John Deere, ticker DE, NICE, Tapestry, TPR, they're all lower. After the bell today, you get AMAT, SanDisk, and STRZ. They're all expected to report. You kind of taking a look overseas and what's seeing what the action is going on in Europe, and we are showing gains. I mean, that's the good point. I mean, you look at the DAX, it's up 154 points or 0.64%. Financial stocks are leading the way. In London, the FTSE is actually higher. I mean, it's marginally, it's up 0.06. The UK's GDP grew 0.4% in June. Now that's rebounding from a 0.1 contraction that occurred in May. And it was better than the expectation. So that was good for them. In France, the Paris, the CAC, we're seeing gains. It's up, it's up 0.53%. And what's moving? Luxury stocks. Luxury stocks are showing positive momentum this morning. And Asia last night, we saw weakness. I mean, there's a lot of profit taking is one of the reasons why. But you look at the Nikkei, and that pullback followed multiple days of rallies. So yeah, it is a little pullback. And the Bank of Japan has a potential policy shift, so that's got markets a little bit on edge. But the Nikkei fell 625 points, which is only 1.45%. In Hong Kong, the Hang Seng fell 94 points at 0.37%. There's a lot of Chinese economic data coming out tomorrow, and there's a little nervousness there. Shanghai Composite, it was down like 17 points, which is 0.46%. What can I say? There was, some loan data that showed a key measure of lending at Chinese banks contracted in July. That didn't help Chinese equities overnight. Then we're turning our attention over to oil. And guess what? Oil is all over the board. It was lower, and now it's higher. You get WTI at $62.93. You get Brent at $65.89. Both up over 0.4%. And they're being supported by like a risk premium ahead of the talks between Trump and Putin. Trump did warn that, Russia's going to face consequences if they don't agree to end the Ukraine war. But at the same time, he's just has said this is just a feeling out meeting, just for talk. So I don't expect anything monumental to come out of these talks, but they are occurring in Alaska over the weekend. But that's what I have for you in terms of a morning market update report, Emily.
Well, as we anticipate what's going to happen in the markets today, looking to see if we can extend, the big gains we've had over the last 2 days, and can keep this positive momentum going. Earnings action continues to be one of the catalysts driving market movement. You did give us a preview of some of the earnings to be watching, so let's dive in a little deeper here. Bill, what is going on in terms of earnings action?
Yeah, you got to talk about some of these big boys like Cisco. Cisco, beat by a penny, but they did do it on higher revenue. Stock's down 1.38% this morning. John Deere, ticker DE, David Edward. I mean, listen, they beat by 16 cents, higher revenue. The report really wasn't that good. You look at the stock, it's down 5.81% this morning. After the bell today, you got AMAT, Applied Materials, Apple Michael, Apple Tom. Their EPS is $2.34. Expected move is 10.94%. And SanDisk, SNDK, Sam Nancy David Kilo, their EPS is 2 cents, and the expected move is 9.87% when they release after the bell today, Emily.
Another area of data that is important to keep track of day in and day out are economic events, reports, and Fed speak. And, as you've pointed out, there is plenty of data between now and the next FOMC meeting that could inform what the Fed will do next in terms of monetary policy. So keeping track of it, staying ahead of that data is important. Every morning you're looking at your economic reports, and we have at least two that are worth noting today, including another read on inflation after Tuesday's report. So, Bill, what is going on in terms of economic events?
Yeah, 8:30 a.m. this morning, you get jobless claims. I mean, it's expected to have a reading close to 229. The 4-week moving average is 228, so it's right in there. So it's kind of stable, which is good. Then you have the PPI, Producer Price Index. That's also coming out at 8:30 this morning. The report's expected to show a slight uptick in producer prices, which means mild inflation pressures. But I don't think it's going to be anything devastating to the markets today. 2 p.m. we're going to be hearing from Richmond Fed Bank President Thomas Barkin. That could be interesting. But that's what I have for in terms of an economic update, Emily.
And you're keeping track of your earnings reports and economic events, all using your NewsWare. And you're still keeping track of other news, data, and information coming out of different sectors and segments. Every morning, you're following things like merger news, guidance news, shareholders meetings, buyback news, and catalyst calls. To track trends on the trading day, you're looking at your FANG stocks grouped together and your Dow 30 stocks grouped together. So, Bill, what else do you see is possibly moving the markets today?
Well, I'm just looking. I'm doing a quick data check. I got 14 Dow stocks higher. I got 3 unchanged, and so the other, the rest are moving lower. And then you look at your FANG stocks this morning, and for the most part, we are seeing gains. I mean, Meta's flat, but everything else is higher. So that's kind of positive. When you look at some of the news behind the tape, like Apple's tabletop robot to lead AI comeback strategy by 2027. It's a long way off. Google, they're investing $9 billion in infrastructure and AI-ready workforce in Oklahoma. Tesla, ticker TSLA, they're eyeing New York City for autonomous taxi service test. They're looking to hire drivers, so I don't know how autonomous that is. But in terms of Dow Jones 30s, you got to talk Amazon. They're expanding their same-day grocery delivery. Talking NVIDIA, China needs those NVIDIA chips as they're being blocked from accessing chip-making technology. So if they don't have the chip-making technology, they can't make the chips. So the only other option is to get the NVIDIA chips. In terms of merger news, COHR, Charlie, Oscar, Henry, Richard, Coherent announced an agreement to sell its aerospace and defense business to Advent for $400 million. In terms of guidance news, Cisco sees Q1 adjusted EPS 97 cents to 99 cents. Street estimates 97 cents, so that's an uptick. Tapestry, TPR, Tom Paul, Richard, they see full year 2026 EPS coming in $5.30 to $5.45. Street estimates $5.48. That's a downtick. AAP, Apple Paul, that's Advanced Auto Parts. They cut their full year 2025 EPS guidance view to $1.20 to $2.20. Street estimate has it at $1.85. Yeah, that's not good. Electronic Arts, ticker EA, they're having a shareholders meeting today. It doesn't start till 5 p.m. And that's really all I'm seeing in the tape early this morning, Emily.
This is the type of data that NewsWare delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional Newswire delivers. We've now made it to that time of the show for the Trade Talk pick of the day. Bill, what is your pick of the day today?
I'm going to go with SanDisk, SNDK, Sam, Nancy, David, Kilo. Earnings out after the bell. EPS is 2 cents. Expected move is 9.10%, 9.10%. Look at yesterday's call volume. 1,637 calls traded at 280 puts. Very positive. Open interest, 26,387 to 11,679. Positive, 2 to 1. Now, major brokers are positive. I mean, they're raising price targets on the stock left and right, and that's positive. But in terms of an entry price, I want to get in under 47. I'm hoping to get in at something like, between 46.50 and 46.75. If I can get in there, that would be a great opportunity, I think. It's where it's bid right now at 46.75. So I'm saying 46.50 to 46.75. Because you get the PPI data coming out, you get the weekly jobless claims coming out, you gotta adjust for a little weakness that could occur in the morning. But I do like SanDisk, SNDK. That's my pick of the day, Emily.
SanDisk it is on an earnings play, and yesterday's pick of the day was also an earnings play. In just a moment, we will do a recap on that. So stick with us. But first, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the tape in our Hot Off the Press segment. Bill, sending it back to you.
Bessent's out there saying August, September will be a good test of tariff revenue. Booz Allen get a $1.58 billion Department of Defense contract. MLR, Miller Industries, to reduce its workforce by about 150 positions. Google to backstop $1.8 billion fluid stack lease obligations to support TeraWulf deal. Novo Nordisk, NVO, they announced the launch of Wegovy in South Africa. Talk about Trump's pharma announcement, pharma tariffs. It's said to be weeks away. Alibaba CEO and Bright Smile deal may face higher regulatory scrutiny. It's not good. AMD, let's talk AMD. Bank of America adjusted their US 1 list, and they removed Marriott MAR. I mean, they added AMD, Apple Michael David. That's nice. That's nice to see. That's all I'm saying this morning.
Okay, Bill, before we dive into trading on this Thursday, let's do that check-in on yesterday's pick of the day, which was BIRK stock. They did report earnings. They did beat on their EPS, but they missed on revenue. The company did make a comment that they're confident that they can weather, any sort of tariff action. Yesterday, the stock was having a pretty solid run ahead of earnings, down a little bit after that report. But Bill, how did your call work out?
Worked out great. Listen, look at the numbers. Stock opened up at $49.98. And it hit a high of $50.79. So the 1% was there. Now, I was saying, 49 to 49.40. It did hit a low of 49.33, and it did close at 50.23. So the 1% was there. And then you look at it this morning, it's already hit a high of 52.81. It's pulled back since because, the revenue was a little light. But, the 1% in Birkenstock, BIRK, absolutely positively there. It was a winner, Emily.
The 1% was there, staying diligent and taking that win when you see it. And we will check in with you tomorrow about today's SanDisk pick of the day. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here tomorrow to end your trading week at NewsWare's Trade Talk when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Bonney, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.